Good evening, all. Tonight, this is Will from Will's Tarot Path. Tonight, I will be looking at another deck from DaBrigh, the Angel's Tarot. And this is the second time I have done this video. It seems is the usual for me at this point when I'm looking at a new deck that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I had to go back because there were some cards and some angel references I was really unfamiliar with, and so I wanted to get some clarification, some card meanings I wasn't quite sure about. I wanted to get some clarification so I could share those with you without having to continually look back at the guidebook on most things. So I think that will help have a better overview of the deck, and it won't be so long and drawn out while I pause to look at things. So if you will wait for 1 second, I'll bring the camera down and we will begin our overview of the Angel's Tarot from DaBrigh. All right, here we are. So once again, there's the independent artist. I'm going to let you read the name there. I will try to pronounce it. Ekaterina Kalmyakova. But she does use Kate, which is easier for most of us, at least in the English-speaking countries. So she just studied design and art at university, and then she designed this deck. But I love that they put the bio card in here with the artist picture, how to contact them, some data points. But here's the email. So I will put a link to that in chat as well. These are the backs. I think they're beautiful. This gold embossing is absolutely, I mean, I just love that anyway. As long as it's done tastefully, some of it goes overboard. I think this is nice. The only thing that will put some people off is the angel wings, not because they're angel wings, but because that makes them not look the same in a upside reverse position. I don't read reversals, not in the contemporary way, so this would not affect me so much. Because what I do for each card is when I do a reading, I look at all the cards and I use all the meanings the card could have. So I read the card in relation to the other cards around it and use all the meanings and use my intuition to determine which way that card goes. So once again, we have a tuck box. Nicely done for a tuck box. I know that there are different types and qualities of tuck boxes. This one is fairly, I think, thicker than most. It feels thicker than most. It has a glossy outside and it is embossed as well. I think they did a good job with this. They do have the title on the side once again, which I like. That way, if I want to put it on the shelf sideways, I can still know what it is. Once again, the guidebook was written by Dr. Philip Young. And we will go through that because this is why I've started going through these decks before I view them, because he threw me for a loop on some card meanings, and we'll go over those when I get to it. But I'll be using the guidebook some as I go through the majors because they are based on angels. And for the majors, they use the names and ranks of the angels that are known in esoteric terms, but through various religious practices too. But the way I read this, the way I take it, I haven't read with this deck yet, but the way I take the angels and the way they've described them here is that it's more in the esoteric sense. So if you've ever listened to Lon Milo DeCat or, who else? Kyle Gray. I know that he's done a lot of angel work. I've not read a lot of his stuff. I've just watched a few of his videos. I like his stuff a lot, but I have not gone down the rabbit hole yet of looking at angels and their messaging purposes. But that's where this deck comes from. So I don't, even though it may come across as sort of that Christian imagery feeling, I think it's more meant to be along that esoteric line, which might be hard to separate for some people, and that's understandable. So just so you know, the book, once again, it's very normal. They do a good job with the introduction. The information is short and brief, but they do a good job of what they put into it. It's quality. And then they have the card spread, tips for beginners, and then the major arcana, they go right into it. So that's where we're going to start. I'm going to have the book right here beside me. As I go through the majors, I'm going to talk about the angels a little bit. And you can see on the screen which card it is. So I necessarily may not say like the Fool, but I'll be talking about the other cards or the other meanings into it. So, oops, did I get these out of order? I may have. Okay, let me take a moment and get these in order. So as I go through this, I'll be using the book to talk about the angel names because it is an angel deck. And what they did is for the major arcana, they named each angel in the major arcana after an existing, for a lack of a better word, known entity. If you think of the angel work oracles that are out there, I know Kyle Gray has written books and has oracle decks on angel work. I think these would be the style or the names of the angels mentioned. If you look at anything by Lon Milo DeCat, any of his books when he's discussing angels, or let me think, what is his name really quick? Oh, there's another magician online. I can't think of his name, but he does angel magic as well. And maybe I'll look that up and clip it in here so you know. But I love his. I've read his books, and he doesn't get as detailed on angels as Kyle Gray does, at least in what I've read. But I haven't read his angel book yet, so we'll see. But I find him an interesting author on energies and entities and how that works. So the cards themselves, once again, 350 GSM cardstock. Nice gilding. I do like this embossing. I do like this gold embossing they did. It is tactile, so you can feel it. And then the pattern, the repeating pattern, I think is a nice touch. And the color. I love this sort of, it's a little bit more muted in person, but I like the fact that it's dark and not bright. And the only thing that people won't like are that the backs aren't reversible because of the wings. But that doesn't affect me so much. It doesn't affect some people. If you don't read reversals, it won't bother you. If you read the cards, what I do is it doesn't matter how the cards come out, upside down or right side up. I look at the cards in the question. And it usually has a beginning that I know what the beginning is and what the beginning should be. So that first card tells me whether that card should be right side up or upside down, because that's the beginning point. And then as I go through, I take all the meanings, positive, negative, and in between, and sometimes a mix of the two, to intuit the meaning of the cards. And I think that's worked really well for me. When I first started doing reversals or trying to, I would get really confused and like, okay, well, which one is it? Is it this way or that way? Did this one turn upside down on purpose, or was it supposed to, or was it accident that wasn't meant to? I just questioned myself too much. So taking the meanings, taking the cards holistically has really improved my practice a lot. And then I found I came out to find that the Tarot de Marseille doesn't use reversals. So that made me feel much better. So anyway, 350 GSM, very similar to the US games, maybe even a little bit more sturdy, but it's very nice. The cards are not glossy, but they're not matte, so it's kind of like that in between. It's really nice. So we'll begin with the Fool. As we get to the minors, I won't be going through angel names because they're not listed, but I will be just doing a flip through of that. So the Fool is the Archangel Michael, and he's a member of the Seraphim. And that's the Magician is represented by Zafkiel, who is also an archangel, and is the leader of the group of angels known as the Thrones, and they protect the throne of God, as the book says, or deity, or union, energy, whatever you prefer. The High Priestess, this is Ariel, She's an archangel rank. She's a healing angel and a member of a group of angels known as the Virtues. And what is on her scroll are methods of healing that she shares with the priestesses to distribute to the humans. And this is the Empress, Seraphim, Sandalphon is also an archangel. Provides a bridge for humans and their prayers to God. The Emperor is Haniel. If I mispronounce any of these names, please forgive me. But I think I'm close anyway. Haniel is the co-leader of the principalities, a group of angels who guard the nations on earth. So if that is esoterically, historically, what they do, then this is a good representation of that particular angel. I don't know, I'm turning upside down all of a sudden. There we are. The Hierophant. The Hierophant is Metatron, an archangel as well. He's a member of the Seraphim, the highest order of angels, and is the scribe of God. So in my mind, that means he would keep a record of all that happens in existence, if you're familiar with the Tree of Life, from Kether down to Malkuth. I've just started looking at the Tree of Life, and something clicked yesterday when I was reading about it, and it all made sense to me. It was like in a flash moment, all the reading I had done or little bits I'd picked up or videos I'd watched, it just clicked, and it was fantastic. And once it clicked, it's really not as complicated as it seems. It was really great. So this is the Lovers, represented by Chamuel, Chamuel, and I think the CH is pronounced with that sound, the K sort of. The Guardian Angel. And Chamuel supports peaceful relationships, and here they represent that with the Lovers. Seems appropriate. The Chariot is Gabriel, Archangel, member of the Cherubim, second highest orders, and he is pulled by two Sphinxes. So he is a military leader. So he would fight the battles for the divine, or the other ranks of angels. Now, this one is interesting because I like the card, but I question the artist's choice of, and this might just be taste, you might like this, and that's fine. This is just my opinion. I wish the heads of the Sphinxes had been kept in the same sort of gold tone instead of giving him this like real human feel as the angel has to sort of separate the two, because this to me just feels, I don't like, I believe it's called anamorphic. And when we have this represented where the head is so realistic and the body isn't, it mixes like oil and water for me. But that's just my personal opinion. Maybe it works. Maybe I'm not seeing something that others do, and that's fine. But I do like the card overall. Strength, very typical strength card. This is Chamuel, Chamael, Chamael, Archangel, leader of a group of angels known as the Powers. Well, that's very appropriate. And they guard the border between heaven and earth. So I guess they're the ones that would separate us from there around the veil somewhere, guarding the veil. The Hermit is Cassiel, Archangel, known as the Angel of Solitude, which is appropriate once again. So his lantern and the tip of his staff reveal how truth can often be found when one detaches from the world. And I think that's true. I think anytime we take time off, whether it's you, for me, it would be if I go on a hike alone in a place that's not very crowded, or I have time here in my in our bedroom where there's no one else here and I'm able to look at my cards in peace, that refreshes me. So I do believe there's a lot of truth in that, just as a general statement. The Wheel of Fortune stands for God's grace. No angel representative. Instead, the card has a disc with powerful symbols and various beastly representations, reflecting the elements of life and how they impact humanity through God's plan or grace. So to me, it's a very typical Wheel of Fortune card. There's nothing greatly special, I don't think, about the definition in the book for the meaning of it and how it connects to angels. So once again, this just goes to show that if you want to use it as a regular deck and you just like the images of angels, then this would be a good one for you. This is Ragel, Raguel, archangel, known as the angel of justice. He brings peace and harmony. So, very good choices. Raphael, archangel, leader of the angels, known as the virtue, so this connects us to one of the other angels. And he brings blessings and performs miracles. By hanging upside down, he shows he understands the suffering of humanity. So that's a little bit different take on the hangman, because typically the hangman is, to me, he's a pause, looking at the world from a different angle, trying to open up his senses to more knowledge in different ways. This is the best way I know how to describe it. Sometimes cards have feelings for me, and the words don't come as easily. But so to me, that varies a little bit in meaning. But once again, you don't have to use the book, which most of us or some of us don't, except for special cases. This is Azrael, the angel of death, transitions souls. And so that's very natural for us for a death card. I don't understand why he's wearing armor. And that gives me the feeling of a knight. The flag is interesting. If you look at the wing behind the cape on the right side here, it almost looks like, it's hard to tell, is the wing, I mean, of course it is, but is the wing attached or is it just behind him? The perception for me in this image is a little off. And then I'm not a fan of his skeleton, because the skull looks oversized, and when in the book I looked at it, it says he wears the mask of a skeleton. I think it would have been better if we had seen Azrael and maybe some more typical death symbology here, or the transit of souls, to connect it to that sort of more spiritual feel. Temperance is Netzach, Netzach, co-leader of the principalities with Haniel, represents eternity. So there's a balance between the physical and eternal, and sort of the transition there right after death. That's how I'm taking it. The balance, well-being. So here we are on the devil. So this, of course, is Lucifer. Here it says he's a fallen angel. In some traditions, Lucifer isn't fallen. I don't want to get into that, but I just know that as a fact of reading other things, it's just there's a divide, there's a disagreement among angels. But he's known as the morning star in God's light before his rebellion. So he is known from, this to me leans more to the Christian viewpoint, where he's known for wanting to steal God's power or take God's role or place. And so that leads to the temptation and overindulgence that we see with the humans that we create for ourselves. So he basically said, if I can't have it all, then I'm going to take all of them with me. Like I say, that's a very basic view, not one that I completely hold. So I won't venture more into that. Fallen angels. 2 of the angels who fought alongside Lucifer fall from the tower. And this is where, I think the deck misses something. I think in angelic tradition, in the esoteric sense, I don't know how Lucifer is viewed. And I don't know if this veers from that path of what the work from knowledgeable people on the subject would say. My gut tells me this is more typical Christian viewpoint, and it's not necessarily esoteric, angelic work viewpoint. But that is one thing that, if you'd like, you can look up. If you know, share in the comments, please. I'm sure we'd like to know. But as far as that goes, if there's any confusion this card brings, I think it's a missed opportunity then. Because they could have shown the tower being destroyed, but maybe there were people, not angels, being watched over by an angel and giving us that message, though, yes, this particular thing is falling apart. But believe it or not, even though all this is going on, it may not feel like it, your angels are still around you. And regardless of how bad things get, they will walk you through it. And that's how I view angels and spiritual guidance. And I think, for me, that's my opinion. And like I said, I don't know how Lucifer is viewed in esoteric tradition. But that is my opinion, and I think that would have been, for me, a beautiful card, because that's what I've had to do to reconciliate the beliefs I was raised with and the beliefs I have now. So, the star is Phanuel, Archangel, Angel of Hope and Repentance. So he pours the water to the earth, offering divine sustenance. And I think that sits well with me, because I do see that. If whether you look at angels as spiritual guides, or whether you look at the energies around you or your higher power, I do believe there is that energy flow. When you start focusing on it, when you start working with it, when you start accepting it, instead of just going at life willy-nilly, I do believe that energy flow comes in. So this to me works. I have no problem with that. I think it's a beautiful representation of temperance. The star. The moon is Raziel, is the keeper of secrets. So he's not shown. He illuminates the night. His face resides in the moon. So if you look here, that would be where his face is represented. So the moon is here. His face is there. We don't quite see it. And then there's also this energy here. So, and if you look at that closely, it almost looks like the outline or shape. So he sort of stays a hidden mystery, which fits well with the moon card. I don't have any issues with the moon card. I think it's nicely done. I think it's fairly representative. I like the way these aren't towers so much, they're columns. And these to me hark back to the priestess, who also had columns beside her, who had carries the mysteries. So I think that was nicely done, a nice connection there between the cards. The sun, Uriel. I love this sun card. I don't have any criticism about it. I love the angel, how it's depicted with the robe and the wings and the light. I love the face in the sun. I love the and the horses. When we get to the miners and the knights, you'll see the horses. I just love the line art on the horses. I love horses, but I think these are done well. So, one of the seraphim, highest order of angels, she's the one, or he's the one closest to God, closest to God's light. So that would explain why he was used for the sun. Like I say, very few problems for me with the angel part, except for maybe the mention of Lucifer at the Fool, and the Devil card and the Tower. I think those could have been more. They could have been done with less Christian baggage, so to speak. So this is Judgment, Jophiel, Angel of Wisdom, Understanding, and Judgment. So the trumpet announces the arrival of new earthly souls into heaven. So this is not the angel bringing forth people from the grave. It's more of a welcome sound, and I like that thought. I like that thought a lot. And we have the world. This is Sachiel, member of the cherubim, second highest order of angels, presides over wealth and charity. So the garland represents achievement men and women can attain on earth, fulfillment, completion, conclusion. So a very generalized, typical world card. I do wish they had included the other symbols. That's just a minor thing, though, because if you read this like a typical RWS style, which is the way it's designed for, then you can always, if you've read long enough that when you see the card, you're going like, oh, I think as you see, most of these are fairly typical RWS style. 3 of Cups. I'll pause in a moment and read one from the cups that don't confuse me. The 4 of Cups. This one confused me, and I'll read to you what it says in the 4 of Cups, because I think that's important for you to have an idea of what the book is like in the minors. I don't have major problems with... Here it is. All right, so I'll read the 4 of Cups. So, while an angel rests and contemplates what he has accomplished, the 3 cups floating before him, a 4th cup arrives with new energy and instructions for his next mission. To me, this typically is more of, these are what he has, but he still feels unfulfilled. By grace, he's being offered something else, and he doesn't have the wherewithal in himself to see it. So he's not it's a missed opportunity. He's not looking at all of his options, only the ones that maybe he thought would make him happy, but he didn't think about this other thing. This one that's an instruction. So what I did was, I remembered on the title of the guidebook, it says based on the tarot interpretations of Arthur W. Waite. So I went back and pulled up the 4 of Cups. So the key to the tarot starts with our normal understanding of he's discontented sitting under a tree, 3 cups, don't fulfill him. He doesn't see this one, which by grace is being offered to him. And then here's what the second part of as it continues. Divinatory meanings: weariness, disgust, aversion, imaginary vexation, as if the wine of this world had caused satiety only. Another wine, as if a fairy gift is now offered him, but he sees no consolation in this. This is also a card of blended pleasure. Reversed meaning: novelty, presage, new instructions, new relations. So that part right there, the new instructions, that is where it ties back to the guidebook written for this deck, where he's given a new mission, but he's ignoring it. So that is a very odd mix of the key to the tarot with the general meaning that we're normally used to, and I'm just uncertain about it. So 5, 6, 7, 8 of Cups, Nine of Cups. Ten of Cups. So this one bothered me a bit on the me. I love the card. The card I have no problem with, so I would just read this as a regular card on my own normal understanding of an RWS. But here's what the book says for the deck. Four angels mimic a human family to experience the joy humanity expresses and experiences through family. I have an issue. They're mimicking a human family to experience the joy humanity expresses and experiences through family. So that to me says, unless you are husband and wife and two kids, then you are living a full life. And the reason I have and as I'm a married man with a straight married man. I love my wife Candy and my son. But before I was married, I lived a single life for 42 years. My wife and I got married at 42, and we had our son when I was 45. But I had a very full life before. I had a lot of growing up to do, and I went through some. Well, I'm not going to tell you about my youth, but it was. Let me tell you, it was rough. It was the 80s and 90s, and oh boy. But I grew up sometime in my early 30s, established a really good career, completed 2 master's degrees, had a small group of friends, but strong, and that was my family. That's the people that I went to movies with. That's the people that we would sit around and have these in-depth conversations over coffee in the morning. That's the people that I would meet for a walk if I really needed to contemplate something serious. Those are my friends, but they're my family. I have one colleague now that I still currently work with on occasion. We still work for the same educational agency. She works on a different campus now, but to me, she is as if any sister would ever be. So even though we are not related by blood or marriage or any other description of the term, she's like a sister to me. And I don't know how else to express it. So this idea you have to have this compact unit, to have a family, to have this feeling of completion and wealth and success. I just wish they had worded that better in the guidebook because it hits wrong. It just hits wrong. But the card itself is beautiful. I'll probably never look at the guidebook again and use the deck if I choose to, based on my knowledge of the RWS standard deck. Yeah, so that's one. Page of Cups. Knight of Cups. Queen of Cups. King of Cups. Ace of Cups. Ace of Pentacles. Oh my God, I got stuck on cups. Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. Three. The 3. I'm going to set the 3 aside and we'll come back to it. The 4 of Pentacles. The 5. 6 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles. And here's another conundrum I ran into. I did not look this up in the key, but I'm wondering if there's something there. I just didn't want to go that much more into it. But this to me, even though it has this arching sort of church background, and he is constructing on the wall of this column that looks like it might be in some sort of temple, and then we have the 7 here. But typically what we see is this workman, I mean the 8, this workman from the 8 working on these on the bench and then hanging them up as he goes. So this was very confusing for me. So I read in the book, the 3, an angel is hard at work making new pentacles representing the grace that comes with consistent effort. Sounds a little bit more like the 8 to me. The 3 for me is missing that working with other piece. And then the 7 is an angel tends, oh, the 8. I keep saying the 7. Oh my gosh. You can tell I'm tired. An angel perfects his craft, making new pentacles for the finest design, showing the grace and expertise. Good. I can't tell these two apart if you read the book meaning. And even with this one's difficult for me because there are no other figures in the image. Even if it were 3 angels working together, or an angel and 2 humans, maybe he was intervening to help them decide how to work forward or move forward. So that's just an odd thing there for me on the pentacles. So the 9 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, the Page, the Knight, and once again there's my horse, that beautiful horse in the line book, and the eyes. The eyes are just, I feel like they're looking at me. The Queen of Pentacles, the King. All right, and then we have the swords, the Ace of Swords, the 2 of Swords, the 3, the 4 of Swords, the 5 of Swords, the 6, the 7 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the 9 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, Page, Knight, oh, the horse again, I love the horses, Queen, King, Ace of Wands, 2 of Wands, very typical so far, 3 of Wands, nicely reimagining of RWS imagery, 4 of Wands, 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands, 10, Page. I do like the pages. I like the way they're dressed. I like their style of clothing, a sort of period look style. Oh, look at that red and that, oh. That is a beautiful card. Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands. I love that her wand is a living flower and not one of the branches for the Queen. And it's a sunflower. I think that's a nice touch. A way to reimagine it. I like that. And the cat here in the corner. Very nice. King of Wands. And I know the cat's typically there, but even with the king, they kept this traditional piece. And yeah, nicely done. All right. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you like angel decks or not. I typically don't. There's some angel art I like. I think that for the most part, these cards are beautiful. I think they did a really good job with the stock, with the title cards. I mean, the title boxes, the numbers and the lettering and the gilt and the embossing. I love the fact that it's just a little touch and it's not all over the place. They are not gilded on the side, so you could edge them if you'd like in whatever color you want, which I think sometimes that makes shuffling easier. And if you're watching, if you so like and subscribe. I'm not worried about making money or anything, but it's kind of cool to know how many people appreciate what I'm doing. I can see how many views I've had, but it doesn't tell me if that's somebody watching it again or if it's just a click on and then a click off, like maybe they started watching and turned off. I know I can figure that out. It's all in the stats, but I don't want to put the brain power into it. It's just nice to know if you are watching and you do keep track and you like my reviews, then if you subscribe, then I'm not expecting you to watch all the time, but at least that I know that something clicked with you. And that helps me know if I keep moving forward. I thank you. I thank you for watching. I thank the people for the comments that have given them. I am big on constructive feedback, so if you have any ideas of how my presentation could run better, please include that in comments as well. I think that's always great to know. And have a good evening, morning, or afternoon. Now I sound like the Truman Show. But I hope you're doing well wherever you are.